just a Pilot pen. You can use a magic marker. Probably don't want to use a permanent marker because then it wouldn't wipe off. But these pens right here are great. And you can see that I'm going to do a hexagon shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's just a guideline of where I want to go. And you can adjust from there. I'm using a basic paring knife. It's nice and sharp. Again, be careful. Make sure that you have an adult with you. And I'm going to hold the pumpkin by the stem and keep it stable on the table. And use back and forth sawing motions right on the lines that I've already pre-drawn. And we want to go all the way out, all the way around. The trick is that you want to overcut your previous cut line. So then that way it'll pop out easier, not missing anything. So I'm just going over just a little bit, just to be safe. Use the tip of my knife just to kind of wedge in here and pry this thing open. Again, be very careful. You don't want to hurt yourself on this prod. And you can see all the guts in the pumpkin. And now we're going to scoop. I have 2 examples of our scoopers here. This is an avocado scoop that I got at the grocery store, and this is a more basic pumpkin scooper that you can find. And what I want to do is I want to just get all of this stringy guts right off of the entire pumpkin. Now, you can save some of these guts for later, because these can kind of be a cool addition to your carving. You can kind of, make them hang out of the mouth or something. They're really fun. And beyond that, pumpkin seeds are great and they're tasty and you can cook them. So what I do is I like to clean up our little square, and I even put a little chamfer on these edges. Because believe it or not, the cleaner the inside of your pumpkin, the longer the pumpkin will stay alive and fresh, because all that rot and mildew is going to start on this stringy stuff. That's where the mold starts, and once it starts, you can't stop it. So what you want to do is use these tools and get right in there. Don't be scared. Pass. Make sure there's nothing loose in there. Okay. I don't know if you can get in there, but that is one clean pumpkin. You can see that there's no stringy mess or any seeds in there. And I have a little pro tip here. This is lemon juice and water, and it's going to be a great little antibacterial to prevent the mold from growing. Similar to how you would put a potato and lemon juice to keep it from turning brown. Same idea. We're just going to mist the inside of the pumpkin, as well as this little piece. That's going to prevent all that decay from happening. And then I'll keep this handy for when I'm carving too, and use it throughout my piece. So first things first is we want to think of a design. I usually look at the pumpkin for the design rather than getting a set idea in my head before I choose my pumpkin. I think that some of these misshaped pumpkins have a lot of character in them, and it's good to just kind of look at him and see if he's a happy pumpkin, if he's sad, if he's angry. All of those things are really fun. And I think that this guy looks happy. What I want to do is find the center of my pumpkin here and just kind of see maybe where his mouth is going to end up. And I feel like this guy's got a big grin. I'm going to kind of over-exaggerate his mouth. Maybe it goes all the way down to the bottom here. Again, our traditional jack-o'-lanterns are very easy. You still want to have some type of guideline here to see where you're cutting. And you don't have to be committed to this drawing. It's just kind of a rough idea of where you want to start, and you can adjust from there. So maybe there's a little curl at the end of his mouth. We want to make sure that we're trying to line this up correctly. Here's one of my tools that I'm going to use today. This is an ice cream scoop that I got from the grocery store, and I've just kind of removed some of the guts, the little clicker part. And this is a perfect circle. And you can see on some of my other demo pumpkins here that I have these white eyes. which I'm going to cover in a little later in the tutorial, but those are actually potatoes and carrots, and this is the tool that I use. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push into the pumpkin just to kind of get a guide of where his eyes are going to be. Maybe they're close together. But instead of 2 full eyes, I'm also going to draw over these marks. Again, that was just a guide to give me a perfect circle on here, because otherwise drawing a perfect circle is nearly impossible. And then from here, if we wanted to give this guy teeth, we could add in some big jagged teeth like this, some more jack-o'-lantern-y style. Maybe he's got 2 big fangs, maybe some little teeth down here. And these would all be great to lay out if you're going to leave those in with the skin. My idea is that I'm going to blend some of these carving techniques for you today, so you kind of get a whole roundabout picture of all the styles of carving. So instead of leaving the teeth like I have on this jack-o'-lantern, I'm going to do an etching style for the mouth. We'll jack-o'-lantern his eyes, and then maybe later in the demonstration we can play with some other materials to kind of enhance this carving. It's really important to have a nice sharp knife. Make sure you're being super careful and you have adult supervision if you're doing this at home. But you're actually more likely to cut yourself with a dull knife than a sharp knife, believe it or not. So make sure you're being careful. I'm going to use my paring knife for this. There's other fancier knives that you can use. This is one of my detailing knives. And even beyond that, this is an X-Acto blade, which is, again, very standard stuff at an art supply store or online. And maybe I'll start with this. Again, what I want to do is I want to try to create a perfect circle here. I have my guideline drawn in. So I'm going to open up this eye first for you. And the wall of this pumpkin is much thicker than this little tiny knife. However, I'm not worried about the wall of the pumpkin. I'm really just worried about the skin. The skin is the toughest part of the pumpkin. And once you get past the skin, the interior of the pumpkin is lovely and juicy and perfect for carving. So really, I just want to make sure my cut is through the skin of the pumpkin, and then we'll worry about the rest after. Depending on the thickness of your blade, it can be helpful to use your scraper tool to thin out the wall of this pumpkin. That way you're not fighting with a really thick piece of a pumpkin, especially when you're trying to remove the jack-o'-lantern. So when we're in that scooping stage, you can kind of take a lot of material away to help yourself. I'm just going to go back over my cuts again until I feel it loosen up. I'm actually going to go in from the back here. Try to pop this guy. There she is. See some of that interior wall. And I'm just going to save this for later, just in case I want to use it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my regular paring knife here and go back in and clean up this circle. And that's a nice perfect circle. You can see all the way through with that light. And if I cover it up with our piece here, it'll go dark again. And that's number 1. And on to number 2. I'm actually going to use this style of blade just to get a little bit better penetration here. And again, you can see I have my hand on the pumpkin with my thumb out. And I'm actually holding my hand so I'm not jumping around. Rather than just going in with a loosey-goosey hand, you have a point of stability here. Now that's your traditional jack-o'-lantern, right? You're going all the way through to the interior of the pumpkin. You could light that with a candle and you'd look really spooky at night. For the mouth, instead of cutting out this whole shape all the way through, I'm actually gonna employ an etching style where we're only just gonna be taking off the skin of the pumpkin. This is gonna allow me to use some of this flesh to sculpt and maybe give him the teeth. So his teeth won't have this fleshy skin on it, but it'll be more of this bright orange. And you can kind of see it on this little dude here. I I've kind of done the same idea. So this could be done with an X-Acto blade or a paring knife, and you would literally just trace the line, but you wouldn't go all the way through. If you'd like to make your life easier, this is a handy little tool. It's a linoleum cutter by Speedball, and these are available online or at an art store. And this has a little groove in it. These are for printmaking, but they work wonders on pumpkin. And I'm just gonna, again, trace my line with this outer blade, being very careful, stabilizing myself with my thumb. You can see how this kind of just grooves right in and pops the skin off. And I'm gonna end it here and save that little detail for later. All right, so we have our mouth kind of roughed in, and I can continue to use this tool to scrape the skin off. You can see how it makes little lines. And these little drops are actually really cool. You could save these and, you know, use them as hair or a mustache. I mean, the whole idea of pumpkin carving is that you get creative, use your imagination, and don't take it too seriously. The next tool I'm gonna use is a clay loop. These tools are for clay sculpting, and again, can be found at any art store or online. And they come in a variety of different shapes and sizes, all the way down to a little teeny weeny one. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with this triangle, and I'm gonna pull away from our line. I wanna be careful not to mess up this nice crisp line. Drop down to a smaller tool for our more detailed areas, so I don't mess up. The right tool, and once you get it past the skin, that's the really hard part. This nice meaty flesh sculpts really easy. These clay tubes are perfect for it. Just kind of dragging these tools across the surface of the pumpkin, just shaving it off. You can see I'm just taking small amounts off right now. And we're gonna do a little bit of a blend here between a sculpt and a jack-o'-lantern. So I'm gonna go all the way through in some parts of this mouth, but leave some of this meat for teeth and gums and whatever else. You can leave some area for a tongue. Now, you won't be able to draw on this surface because it's too moist. So really, what you're gonna do is draw with one of these tools. You can use the back side of a tool, kind of mark this area. But I just wanna get a gum line of maybe about an inch, 3/4 of an inch. Of this, so you can see right through. Use my trusty paring knife here. I'm actually going to leave more than I want. Even though I've drawn the line up here, I'm actually going to cut below it, because you can't put the material back on, but you can take it out. And I might actually, just for fun, square here. Maybe it's got an orange tooth. This guy's looking good for a jack-o'-lantern style carve. Again, I've left some of this meat in here for sculpting, which is great. And hopefully you can stick around. I'm gonna add some more edible materials to this guy and develop on him. And hopefully you can see the final result. left off, we're at just a basic kind of jack-o'-lantern carving. I left some of this meat down here for some teeth and some gums. And I went ahead and I've been using pieces of potato and carrot and anything else I can find to kind of bring more life to this pumpkin. So I have a potato and a carrot eyeball. And I ended up getting rid of that pumpkin tooth that I left there before and just kind of recreating it with pieces of pumpkin. All these have been dipped in that lemon juice slurry to keep them nice and white. Maybe I skipped over a few, so those ones will turn brown and give it even more character. Yeah, some viney arms, and I don't know what you think, but this guy's pretty cool. Thanks so much for joining us.
Using a scalpel to cut back and forth in sort of a V shape to remove the flesh of the fruit in the outline of the drawing. Oh, shot. Look at me go. Now going back with the marker to put in the teeth, and I'm doing the same method of outlining in a V shape to reveal the teeth that I have just drawn on. Once I have done all of that, I come back and remove the flesh on the outside. I'm sort of rounding over the edges, as you can see. So just imagine a sharp pointy tooth and then carve it. And I've been using a variety of tools, from a kitchen knife to a scalpel, and then you'll see I will use a pick at some point. Now, this is an important step, going back, recessing the eyes so that they look like spheres. You can see that is what I'm doing here. Yes. Yes. Poking it down in there to give it that round orb effect. Little details are actually quite important. So you can see here I am putting in the gum line, which is just little Scoopy Doops, on the backside of each incisor. Yes, that is looking rather spooky. Now, defining the teeth a little more with the scalpel. Excuse me. Using my pick to go in there and really scrape out the tartar and gingivitis. Poking through, you can see now I've allowed a little bit of darkness to show through some of the teeth gaps. Carving in the detail of the eyes. And then coming back with my knife, I stab it right in the eye to give it sort of a, cat-like elongated pupil. Yes. Now once I'm happy and satisfied with the carving, I've gone back with some orange and green food coloring. Get it back in there, in the teeth, in the recesses. It actually helps to bring out and kind of add a little more depth and evil. It brings out the evil within the pumpkin. And you can see here, it is finished. The super creepy, super easy pumpkin carving. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and check me out on Instagram.